Hello there, my name is Peter Thomson. Let's talk about sales conversations today. You know, there's an old expression in selling, which is a bit trite, it's a bit glib, but nevertheless it is true, and it's this. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Now, you've heard that, and I've heard that many, many times, but what's the real depth of that expression? How does it help us to really make a difference within the first few minutes, maybe even the first minute of our sales conversations? If not the first minute, certainly the first few minutes. Most people, I feel, are pretty good at building rapport. They can turn up at a client's office, or they can turn up on a telephone call, and they can talk about stuff. They can talk about the weather. They can talk about as it said, the price of corn. They can talk about the journey there, the cost of petrol or gas. They can spot things in the client's office and say, "Oh, I see you're into sailing," because there's a picture of the client on a sailboat. Or they can see other things within that environment that enable them to pick up stuff to build rapport. They're going to be asked if they'd like a drink, whether like a coffee or a tea, and they're going to accept. And through that process, again, they're going to build rapport. They're going to be talking about all sorts of stuff in order to reach out to that person, to ask great questions, to listen carefully to the language patterns that that person uses so they can build even more rapport. But then this is where the big mistake comes in. That they tend to do then is they launch into one of two major mistakes. The first one is they either start talking about themselves and say, "Let me tell you all about myself. Let me tell you all about our company and its history and what it is that we do and what we've done for other people." Or they make a second big mistake and they start asking the client all about themselves. So they say, "So tell me, John, Fred, Mary, how do you get involved in this business? So tell me, what is it that you're looking for?" Wrong. Totally and utterly wrong. Here's why. When we're speaking to somebody, basically what we're using is what historically has been called salesmanship. These days we'd call it salesmanship, salespersonship, saleswomanship. We'd call it something else, wouldn't we? We'd call it selling. Now, copywriting is selling in print. Copywriting, in other words, when we're writing to sell, because we're writing the headline on a web page, we're writing an email, we're writing a direct mail letter, we're writing a postcard, we're writing a proposal, whatever it is that we're writing, that is selling in print. And one of the biggest things that makes the difference to how well our print converts is the headline. Now, as Ted Nicholas, one of the world's most successful, if not the world's most successful self-published author and marketer, and a genius of a guy, lovely guy as well, by the way, if you ever get a chance to meet him, Ted says, and said it to me when I interviewed him, the headline is 75% of the buying decision. Not 75% of that, maybe I might, but 75% of the buying decision. Not am I interested, of the buying decision. Michael E. Gerber, in his book, The E-Myth, and all the various iterations of that, said something very similar. The buying decision is made within the first few moments. The buying decision in a written piece is made at the headline. Now, if this is true, and I happen to believe it is, then where's the headline when we're speaking to somebody? The headline sits between the rapport building stuff and the gathering. There's another bit in there called the agenda, but that's a conversation for another day. So once we've built rapport, once we've had our coffee or tea or whatever it might be, we now need to get the actual opening said. So what is it that this opening is designed to do? Well, it's designed to set up the meeting properly. It's to get the client, customer, patient that we're talking to open the files in their mind so they're ready to give us information and to receive information. Without this opening, then we're breaking one of the golden rules, which is this. It's what you say before you say what you mean to say that makes the difference. So when we say the opening, we're setting the scene not only for what we're subsequently going to say, but the gathering stage of the selling process as well. We're setting the scene effectively. It's also what you do before you do what you mean to do that makes a difference. So when you put those two together, here we go, see if I get this right, it's what you say and do before you say and do what you really mean to say and do that really makes the difference. So let me just look at my notes here to make sure that I'm doing all the bits that I want to do for you. Yeah. The other reason why we must have a cracking opening is it positions us as a professional, and it positions the client as important, and the fact that we are there to listen to them, not just to talk at them, which is the mistake some people make. It also enables us to relax the client and gain their agreement right at the front of the meeting for the reason that we're meeting whatsoever. Now, here's another little thing to add to this, which will help us craft the words appropriately. I'm a great believer, from my experience over many, many years in business, over 40 years in business, that it's wrong to be too certain too soon when we're talking to clients. Yes, they want us to deal with them probably as an expert, particularly if we're looking for, as Roy H. Williams taught me, the relational client rather than the transactional customer. So we do need to be convincing. We don't need to convince them, as you've heard me say before. We need to be convincing, but we don't want to be too certain too soon. Can't start an opening with, let me tell you what we've got and how it works so well for you. It's not very good, is it? It's not very good at all. That naturally just pushes us away. So what we want to do is we want them to feel, nice noises in the background, what we want them to do, that client, we want them to feel, at last, somebody who's prepared to listen to me. Oh, at last, somebody understands. At last, somebody who is a true professional. So basic formula for creating your opening is this. And what I'd like you to do when you've created it, if you wish to, why don't we join in a conversation on this, and you could put your opening in the boxes below and I'll comment on them for you as well. And we can start a real good dialogue going on this, because there'll be a number of people that will do that. The basic formula is the opening is that you're saying to somebody, as I understand it, lovely expression, as I understand it, the purpose of our meeting. Another great expression. You know, these are all just good statements at this stage. As I understand it, the purpose of our meeting is to do three things. And this is where you'll have to personalize. It's basically for me to understand where you are now, for me to understand clearly from you, in other words, I'm interested, I'm keen to know where you want to get to, and how by working together we can achieve that faster, sooner, whatever it might be. There's the basic formula. Where are you now? Where are you going? How do we get there faster together? I mean, that is the basic formula of a great opening. But it then must be followed by a question. Remember my old expression, you may have heard me say this before. When you make a statement followed by a question, if the question is answered, the statement isn't questioned. Let me say it again for you. If you make a statement followed by a question, if the question is answered, and it isn't always openly and verbalized, it will be internally. If the question is answered, then the statement isn't questioned. Maybe another conversation for another day. So what question could you ask at the end? Well, it could be this. So the opening is, as I understand it, the purpose of our meeting is to do three key things. Understand where you are now, understand where you want to get to, and how by working together we can get there, faster, smooth, whatever it might be. Have I got that about right? It's a question. Is that about right? You see, again, it's that lack of too much certainty too soon. This is far more charming. It's far more elegant. It's far more disarming. Have I got that about right? So why don't you, if you've already got it in your mind, if you've already crafted a cracking opening, why don't you pop it in the boxes below? Or have a think about it and come back and pop it in the boxes below, and let's start a conversation. If you've got any questions about this that I can help you with, then by all means put those in the boxes as well. And I look forward to crafting yet another one of these for you, probably with a good opening. I'm not sure how good it was today on this one. Have to go back and review it. See you on the next one. In the meantime, I wish you every success in all your adventures in life, as you have freedom from everything that may have held you back, and freedom to be, do and have whatever you set your heart and mind upon, always in that order. Be it first, do the sort of things that person would do, and surprise, surprise, you'll always have the sort of things that person has. See you soon. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos. Then click to watch the next video. Remember to visit our website at peterthomson.com and download your free copy of my latest book, How to Write Your Business Book in 5 days or less. Until next time, every success.